From putting the Big Ben through a quartz crisis to Willie Nelson swimming across the English Channel for his fans, these are some of the Simpsons predictions that missed the mark. For starters, there's the time the Simpsons predicted a digital Big Ben. This one episode shows Lisa's visit to London back in the day. Poor girl thought she'd get to see the iconic Big Ben clock, but nope. Turns out, the Brits had replaced it with a digital one. Can you imagine the disappointment? But hey, good news for all you clock traditionalists out there. The real Big Ben still rocks the old school analog clock. And get this, they even changed the name of the tower it sits in to Elizabeth Tower. I guess it's all about staying regal, am I right? But that's not the only wrong prediction in The Simpsons, because the show also predicted that laser surgery would make people's eyes fall out at the 10-year mark. This one was crazy. So at the time, laser surgery was newly introduced, and The Simpsons thought it was a good idea to make some weird crap out of it. In an episode where Bart and Ralph visited Ned Flanders, the poor guy was visually impaired, and it was all thanks to some faulty laser eye surgery he got way back in '87. Apparently, it was all trendy and cool at the time, but whoopsie-daisy turns out your eyes might fall out 10 years later. Before you get all scared, this prediction was way off. But there's another prediction that The Simpsons got just as wrong, and that's for the Rocky VII, Adrian's revenge movie. Okay, picture this. Bart is stuck in a room with a bunch of doors numbered with Roman numerals, and he's got to find the one door that doesn't lead to a hungry tiger. How does he do it, you ask? Well, he uses his expert knowledge of the Rocky movies, of course, because why not? He adds up Rocky V and Rocky II and bam! Rocky VII, Adrian's revenge. Oh, but wait, there was no such thing as Rocky VII at the time? Fast forward to today, and we finally got a sequel to the movie, Creed. But sorry, Adrian, no revenge for you. And let's just say, I'm only just getting started with all these wrong predictions from The Simpsons. Because the show even claimed that smell you later would replace goodbye. So, as it turns out, in the show's future, Bart is a total burnout, and Lisa is running the whole country like a boss. And get this, instead of saying goodbye, they all say, smell you later. So when the mailman shows up at Bart and Ralph's pad, they give him a good old smell you later. But I think we can all agree smell you later never really caught on as the standard way to say farewell. It just couldn't get past the 90s, and I am glad it didn't. I guess we'll just have to stick with the boring old goodbye for now. And wait till you hear this next incorrect prediction. So, get this. In one of the episodes, Homer and Marge are watching TV, and they're all like, dang, when did Fox become a hardcore sex channel? It happened so slowly we didn't even notice. But don't worry, Fox isn't quite a full-on porn network yet. They still air plenty of reality TV shows and adult cartoons. So, while things might get a little crude and racy from time to time, you're not going to be seeing any X-rated action on Fox just yet. And I've got to mention this next incorrect prediction the show made too. Yep, it's the whole Splitsville for Delta Burke and Major Dad situation. In this one episode, Chief Wiggum is all worried because Principal Skinner has gone missing, so he goes to see a psychic for help. But here's where things get crazy. The psychic doesn't have a clue where Skinner is. Turns out, he's just stuck in his garage. But she drops a bombshell anyway. She says that she hates to be a bearer of bad news, but Delta Burke and Major Dad are heading for Splitsville. And Wiggum is like, what? But they seem so happy. Lucky for us, though, Delta Burke and Gerald McRaney are still going strong after all this time. Crisis averted. Just like this next prediction that would have been really disastrous, because it involves iPods enslaving humanity. In Ice Cream of Margie, with the light blue hair, Marge makes sculptures out of popsicle sticks, and Homer destroys them all. In a grand romantic gesture, Marge makes a sculpture of Homer so impressive that it becomes the only remaining work of art in the future. But in that future, people are being whipped by giant iPods. So if you thought your iPhone was bossing you around too much, just be glad it's not whipping you. Let's just hope the show didn't give Apple any ideas that we may regret later. And while I'm on the subject of weird tech-based predictions the show made, the series also said that only the 5 richest kings of Europe would own computers. Ah, good old Professor Frink, the smartest guy in town with his wacky inventions and futuristic predictions. In one of his predictions about the future of computers, he got it half right and half wrong. He thought that within a decade, computers would become twice as powerful and 10,000 times larger. Now, can you imagine a computer the size of a house? That would be one heck of a machine. But as it turns out, he was off the mark. Instead of getting larger, computers got smaller and more portable, fitting right in the palm of your hand. And let's not forget about the other part of his prediction, the cost. According to Frink, only the 5 richest kings of Europe would be able to afford one. Thankfully, he was completely wrong about that. Nowadays, computers are accessible to almost anyone, with prices ranging from a few $100s to a few $1,000s. Even a broke college student can afford one. So, sorry Professor Frink, but you were way off on this one. Just like this next prediction, which is about a virtual fudge. So according to The Simpsons, in the future, Homer and Marge are living their best lives as they indulge in virtual fudge through their fancy VR headsets. But Homer quickly becomes unimpressed, complaining that the virtual fudge just doesn't hit the spot like a good old-fashioned cyber fudge. I mean, come on, who wouldn't prefer the real thing? The air never tasted as good. And don't even get me started on tobacco. That weird hybrid of tobacco and tomato that Homer invented. I've got to say, despite all the scientific progress we've made, some things are just meant to stay in the realm of cartoons. Just like this next prediction about music-induced brainwashing. In one episode, the popular boy band NSYNC made a guest appearance on the show, much to the delight of fans everywhere. But the episode also hinted at a dark conspiracy involving music that's meant to control people's minds. Suddenly, parents and kids alike found themselves questioning the true intentions of their favorite bands. Thankfully, we haven't seen any evidence of this conspiracy in real life. But who knows? Maybe the Backstreet Boys are secretly brainwashing us to like their music. This next prediction may not be true now, but hey, we're getting there, because it's about life on Mars. In the Margian Chronicles, Lisa was so eager to explore the mysteries of Mars that she signed up to join a group of fellow adventurers on a mission to the Red Planet. Sign me up! Unfortunately, we haven't found any signs of life on Mars yet, much less established a human colony there. It's not for lack of trying, though. NASA and other organizations have sent multiple missions to Mars, but as far as we know, there are no Martians waiting to greet us. While Lisa may have been disappointed that her Martian dreams couldn't come true, at least she still has the wacky adventures she shares with her family in Springfield. There's another prediction the show made that may just end up being true in the future, and that's hologram mail. Bart may have seen a future where holographic mail was the norm, but we're still waiting for that to become a reality. Of course, it's always possible that the show is just a little bit ahead of its time. But for now, we're all still stuck with regular old email and physical mail, which may not be as exciting as a holographic letter from a far-off friend or relative. But who knows what the future holds? Maybe one day we'll all be communicating via holograms and wondering how we ever got by with boring old email. Until then, we'll just have to make do with what we've got. And finally, here's another thing the show got absolutely wrong. It's the time when the series predicted that Willie Nelson would go for a swim. Willie Nelson is a country music icon who has also made a name for himself in Springfield as a recurring character. While he plays himself in the show, it's important to remember that not everything portrayed in the animated series is factually accurate. In one episode, Nelson swims across the English Channel as a show of dedication to his fans. Whether he could actually do that in real life is up for debate, but at 90 years old, it's safe to assume that he's more likely to spend his time on land rather than attempting such a feat. So, from incorrectly predicting that Willie Nelson would swim across the entire English Channel to imagining a future where the Big Ben goes digital, those were some of the Simpsons predictions that missed the mark.